Hello everyone. I decided to make a Father's Day soap, and I haven't quite figured out the name yet. I'm thinking of something like Father Figure. This is going to be a coconut milk soap. I have previously frozen my coconut milk into cubes over on the side there. I'll be slowly adding my lye to it. I have it in an ice bath, of course, to keep it cold so it doesn't scorch. Same process I use with goat's milk. And I will gradually mix in the lye with it, and I'll edit this in such a way where you don't have to sit through all of that. This started out as an idea to do a 5-level gradient, but developed and changed a bit based on the fact that the coconut milk got thick. So rather than keep it nice and fluid, and you'll see this even more in effect. As I divide this into 5 different containers, you'll see how it kind of becomes cement. But it's easily mixed up with my stick blender, so it's not a problem, but it's thicker than I would have liked for doing a multi-level soap. But nonetheless, it seems to work. So the first step is to mix in the lye into one of these containers. And what I'm showing you there is just how thick that is. So luckily the stick blender is able to deal with that with any problem at all. And the fragrance that I'm using here is a blend of pheromone, of a musk, and a vanilla scent with a touch of bay rum. It's just really a nice fatherly smell. It reminds me of a fragrance my father wore that had a seafaring logo, and we'll just leave it at that. I'd like to apologize in advance. I mixed up this first batch off camera over to the side, and that was just an accident. I'm very sorry. The remaining layers you will see. I forgot to look at the monitor to see where the camera was, so or where the loaf mold was. I apologize. So in between each of these layers, I'm waiting 15 minutes, just to make sure that they fully set up. Then I come back, mix up the next batch, and pour that layer. What I'm doing first layer is just TD. And there's TD in each of these containers with the lye and the coconut milk. And then I'm slowly adding charcoal to the container to slightly darken it. So once I mix this a little bit here, that chunk into the oils, I will then add a bit of the activated charcoal to darken it into a very light gray. And it really didn't take very much. That's about a quarter of a teaspoon, if even that much. It was just a splash. I just wanted to slightly tint this darker than that first layer. And one of the things that happens in this soap, which I actually like, is that it's speckled. Because the TD is in the coconut milk lye mixture there, it kind of left some specks of tea. And I like the look that it gave, which you'll see here in the finished product. I can see how in like a galaxy soap or one of those cosmic type soaps, it would look like stars. So in a black soap, something I'm thinking about. I don't know if I need to do another one of those. There were so many great videos on that have really done those type of soaps so well. Have someone else get in there and do it, probably not necessary. So with each of these layers, I'm just clean up a bit to make the layers as clean as possible. And I do go back and clean each of these, the sides there, as I'm about to do here. And then I let it for about 15 minutes. You'll see my cell phone sitting over there. I set it 15-minute timer, and I come back in 15 minutes and pour the next layer. Works great. I can tell you that this was much thicker than I would prefer for doing a layered soap, but the ultimate result was okay, so I was pleased. Just another example there of how thick it is, and I want to show you here. It just comes out in a block. But it's white. It stayed white. It didn't, I kept it cold, and it never darkened that coconut milk, so I was very happy with that. So you see how thick that is. That's the challenge. So I've used coconut in this way before. I've seen others. I've used it additive. So I'll use a water reduction with my lye, make up my batter, and then add in the coconut milk afterward. I used it as the primary milk. Well, yes, I have, but much different than this, and it wasn't in a layer. I've used it as primary, but it wasn't in where the thickness of the batter really mattered, as it does in something like this, where you're doing a multiple layer. Now, I have a good relationship with my father, and I won't go into the details of that, but I hope you have a great relationship with yours. If your fathers are still living, share your stories in the comments. Will you be spending time with Dad this year? So this layer actually was a little more fluid than the last one. Not sure why, but you can see it went on nicely. Again, you get those skulls of the TD in there. So I'm going to have to remember that in the future. I really like the look, actually, of the little white speckles. And I know to a lot of this is unattractive. They don't want to see that. They just want the white to be well blended and invisible, pretty much. But for this particular soap, I really do like that it turned out. So this is the final layer. Same issue of the block of coconut milk and the lye solution. This final layer, I added in more of activated charcoal. I really wanted the top to be really black. I'm going to be dipping this with some sea salt. I'm doing anything fancy on top. I think I take a bit and then just a bit of sea salt and fairly with the end result, as you'll see here in just. Sorry to jump forward there a bit. Did a bit too heavy editing there, but it was actually kind of boring. It's me doing my very poor imitation of spooning the top. I tried several different methods, and I just wasn't happy with any of them. So here I'm doing a line of the salt, and it's a nice coarse sea salt too, so it really does give a nice sparkle to the top. So I did pull it out of the mold, and I did pull it out, I think, a bit early. The bottom is still a little soft. Now, in this first photo, you can't see, or the first but here, you can't really see. It's a little bright. You can't see the separate layers. But when I laid it down there, you can start to see them. Now, the top 3 layers do have a bit of blending of the dark colors. You can see it's a little bit darker. As this cures, they will be more heavily defined. Again, there are the tea sparkles and the speck. And I like the way that came out. It was unintentional, but I'm very happy with it. So I want to thank you all again. It was so fun to see my first 50 members, and I just appreciate you all subscribing. It means a lot to me. I enjoy talking to you out there in the dark, and I hope that you're getting something from these. Have a lot of joy comes from making the soap, but also talking about it and getting to share my story with you and hear each of you. I love hearing, your stories. So please leave comments. Like it if you do, and unlike it if you don't. That's okay. I appreciate your time, and I hope you have a wonderful day and a terrific Father's Day when that day comes. So thank you all. Goodbye.